You know, we think of human history as this grand story of progress, of civilization. But what if there's another side to that story? A much darker one? Let's dive into that because we're going to explore the unspoken history of our relationship with animals. 50 billion. That's roughly how many chickens humanity raises and, well, slaughters every single year. It's a number that's pretty much impossible to wrap your head around, right? And it's really the endpoint of a very long and, as we're going to see, a pretty brutal history. So how on earth did we get here? To figure that out, we've got to go way, way back. Because this whole thing, according to the source material, started with a series of choices our earliest ancestors made. Choices that put us on a path to basically dominate the entire animal kingdom. All right, so our first stop is the Stone Age. Now, you might be picturing humanity's innocent childhood, but our source argues that's not the case at all. This was actually a huge moral turning point. This was the moment we chose dominion over partnership, and we started looking at other creatures not as kin, but as, well, resources. And you can see this shift happening in our technology. This isn't just about inventing better tools, it's about an escalating desire for control. Think about it. 300,000 years ago, we get these incredibly sophisticated spears, and suddenly hunting isn't just for survival, it's more like systematic warfare. Fast forward, and we have pit traps and snares. Now, killing is premeditated, it's mechanical. And then, around 13,000 years ago, you get the Clovis points. These things were brutally effective, and they spread like wildfire across continents. We're talking a whole new level of killing efficiency. And this change in mindset becomes crystal clear when you look at a technique called persistence hunting. This was something else. It wasn't a quick kill. No, this was a calculated, psychological game. It meant chasing an animal for hours, maybe even days, deliberately pushing it past exhaustion until it just collapsed. You had to completely ignore its terror. Its killing transformed into this raw display of relentless power. Okay, so what about domestication? We usually think of it as this cozy partnership, right? But the source reframes it completely. It was less of a partnership and way more of a conquest. Almost like a form of genetic colonization. We didn't just tame animals, we literally re-engineered them to depend on us, breeding them to be more docile and getting rid of any traits that didn't suit our purposes. So it really makes you wonder, right? Did these animals actually gain security in this deal, or did they just enter a whole new kind of prison? That's the big question as we leave the Stone Age. And as we're about to see, the walls of that prison, well, they were about to get a lot tighter. Then came the Industrial Revolution, and it changed everything. Suddenly, we took the logic of the factory, efficiency, standardization, mass production, and applied it not just to iron and steam, but to living, feeling creatures. Animals were no longer animals. They became production units in a giant, uncaring machine. Now, this didn't happen overnight. It was a long road. First, the agricultural revolution basically turned animals into property. Then, we started using them for labor, turning them into living machines. But the real game changer was the slaughter revolution in 19th century Chicago. That's when the process was perfected, creating the blueprint for the insane scale we see today. Just try to picture it. The Union Stockyards in Chicago. This place was not a farm. It was a sprawling industrial complex. Its entire purpose was to apply the cold, hard principles of efficiency to the act of taking life, on a scale that humanity had literally never seen before. The whole thing was broken down into these cold mechanical steps. An animal comes in, it's hoisted up. One worker's only job is to stick it, sever an artery. Then it bleeds out as it moves down the line to the next person, who skins it. Then the next, who guts it. Each person doing one tiny repetitive task over and over. And that wasn't just about speed. It was about creating distance, detaching the workers from the reality of what they were doing. And get this. This is the part that's truly wild. That exact system, designed to take animal bodies apart as fast as possible. It became the blueprint for how we build our modern world. Henry Ford himself said he got the idea for the automobile assembly line from visiting these slaughterhouses. Think about that. The DNA of modern mass production comes directly from the mass slaughter of animals. And if you want to see where this industrial mindset leads, look no further than the modern chicken. Back in 1925, it took about 112 days to raise a chicken for market. Today, thanks to some seriously aggressive genetic tweaking, it's down to just 35 to 42 days. We've literally engineered their bodies to be these monuments of pure efficiency, and it often comes at a terrible, terrible cost to the animals themselves. So that brings us right up to today, and what our source argues is that we're standing at another huge crossroads. We've got these incredible new technologies, and they present us with a really profound choice. Are we going to use them to finally free animals from this system, or are we just going to use them to perfect their exploitation? One of the most promising ideas out there is lab-grown or cellular meat. The idea is pretty simple. Instead of raising and slaughtering a whole animal, what if we could just grow the meat we want from a few cells? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, I know, but it's actually happening right now. And the potential upsides are just staggering. We're talking about using 99% less land, 96% less water. It's incredible. But, and there's always a but, right? It's not a silver bullet just yet. It takes a ton of energy, and a lot of the methods still rely on something called fetal bovine serum. And that stuff comes from calf fetuses, which, yeah, is a byproduct of the same slaughter industry this tech is trying to replace. And then you have gene editing. We've got this incredibly powerful tool called CRISPR that lets us go in and literally rewrite an animal's DNA. We can basically act as architects of life itself. And this kind of power, well, it puts us in front of two very, very different futures. So path number one, we could use this power for good. We could edit out painful diseases, get rid of suffering, create animals that are naturally immune to sickness. That's one path. But then there's path number two. We could edit animals to just better tolerate the horrible conditions of a factory farm. Imagine creating chickens that don't want to move anyway, or pigs that are genetically incapable of feeling stressed. See the difference? It's a choice between actually ending suffering or just engineering the problem out of our sight. And it's the exact same dilemma with artificial intelligence. On the one hand, an AI could monitor every single animal 24/7 and alert farmers the second one shows any sign of distress. That could lead to amazing individualized care. Or AI could be used to create the perfectly efficient automated factory farm, treating animals as nothing more than data points in an algorithm. So that's really what it all boils down to. It leaves us with this one final massive question. For literally thousands of years, every new technology we've invented has just made us better at controlling and dominating every other species on this planet. But now, for the first time, we have tools that could actually break that cycle. The choice, as this whole history shows, it's always been ours, and it still is.